We started in 1965 when Dave Foster, who was a Christian journalist, went behind the Iron Curtain, saw the struggle that many Christians were having in those situations, started telling the stories, and people started giving funds.
Geopolitically, the world changed significantly at the end of the 80s and in the early 90s, and 10, of course, changed as well. By then, there was new leadership in the organisation, and we began to have the freedom to work more openly with church leaders, often first-generation church leaders, who were planting churches in this new, free world of Eastern Europe and the Balkans. And now we're about helping those leaders who once upon a time were in their 20s raise up and support a new generation.
The heart of 10 is to support Indigenous leaders in Eastern Europe and the Balkans, and there's quite a wide spectrum of what that looks like. We're not just promoting one person being the leader and them holding it forever, but actually training and equipping those who are going to come next.
We're not sending people to do stuff. We're there to support what they're doing in their own country. Actually, I can just really see that these are just Christians, other people that just really love Jesus and people, and I really want to help them out.
We are so grateful together to share the gospel and God's kingdom in North Macedonia.
Here in the middle of Bulgaria.
Here in Macedonia.
We live in Sombor, Serbia.
From Macedonia.
We have worked for 20 years here in Zenica.
We come alongside what God is doing in the country by coming alongside leaders who are already there. And we do that in all sorts of ways. You know, that might be through helping establish connections with UK churches, or it might be through training and resourcing. It could be through financial resources. Recently, we've been working with some church leaders to help them set up small businesses so that they can actually generate income locally.
It's holistic. The partners share the gospel and they respond to social needs. So it's very much both and, not just one or the other.
10 encourages people to get involved with a particular partner and actually connect up with them. Go and speak to the partners, go and see the work for yourself. And all I can say is it's life-changing.
This is one of the great things about what 10 does, but also what UK churches can do in building relationships. They can say, we stand with you. You are not alone. There are people who are thinking of you, praying for you, and backing you. And that's super important, and I know really appreciated.
So good evening. My name is Dusan, and Dusan meaning on the Slavic language meant with a soul. And that was not all my life true. I was with evil soul, but I will share my story later. Me and my wife Mirjana, we coming from Novi Sad, Serbia, and that is one of country of Balkan or former Yugoslavia. And maybe you know, maybe not, but Balkan is Turkish word. And coming from two Turkish words, first is bal, meaning honey, and the kan means blood. So when the Ottomans came to my area, they say this is land and the honey and blood flow. And if you know history of my area, you know that is true. So all of my life was some trouble in my area. In my lifetime was 6 wars in former Yugoslavia. And Winston Churchill said that the Balkans are the powder keg of the Europe. Place when was First War start, and even now in my country in Serbia, every day are big riots, protests, fight between people and the police. Was always trouble there. And on the same time, this one of region of this world who is not reached by gospel. People think people there know about Christ, but that is not true. 98% of them will declare themselves by religion, but only 0.1 actively go to church or to mosque, and 0.01 of them are evangelical. So in some country like Montenegro, you have only 200 evangelical Protestant. In Bosnia, maximum 400. So that is not rich area of this Europe. My country, Serbia, is 6.5 million people, and at least 7,000 evangelical believers. So that is around 0.1, and we are, I can say, strongest Protestant country in that area, former Yugoslavia. And on this map, you can see some cities on blue and yellow, where is no churches and no even any Protestant. That in Muslim area, there is Shariat, and when you can even, if you preach on the street, you can be killed by people there. So people think Europe is reached by gospel, but it is not true. On the Balkan, all area never heard about Christ and why Jesus died for them. They will say they are Christian, many of them are just atheists who declare they are Christian, nothing more than that. So this deeply divided, unreached area. And my question is there anything good? And this picture showing you one event who was few months ago. This was big youth festival, first time in Croatia. 1,000 young people came from Serbia, Montenegro, Macedonia, Bosnia, Croatia, and Slovenia to worship together. Maybe you will say, what? Big deal. But these people, their fathers, fight in the war 30 years ago. And when we come together to worship, that was a big statement that we can overcome all bad things from our history. That was big, big happening for us. And we see how God, only in the church, in the Protestant churches, we see how people coming together and don't fight against past and things. We see peace there. So I will speak from my personal experience. And sorry if I will be too personal, but I call this my talk Beauty from the Ashes, because that is my story. I grew up in communist family. My father was communist dissident. And I was teach the church and Christian is stupid people. I was always teach to avoid that group of people, that is people who don't know what they believe, and just to avoid them. In the same time, I suffer from dyslexia, and I suffer from some other problem. And in that time when I was a child, kids who was like me was not kid with a special need. That was stupid kid. And that was my identity, first 20 years of my life. And then war came. And everything that my father taught me about communism was showed that it was not true. I saw hate, I saw how we kill each other. I was even in the army at that time. And me and my friends, we find other things to believe. That was punk music, that was anarchy, that was that style of living. And with that was alcohol addiction and drug addiction and many other things. So till I was 21, I was heavily addicted person. I didn't want to live. I was done with life. I saw so many things till that moment. And that was first time when I heard about Jesus Christ. It was first time. My good friend became Christian till I was in the army, and many times he find me drunk and take me home. And I sleep on the street, he find me somewhere, take me home, and always said, Christ can help you. So finally I came to the church, and I heard, I don't remember anymore what was message, but preachers told us how he wake up with the joy in the morning. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, when I last time wake with the joy in the morning? And it was not possible to remember that. So I decided I want this. I want this Christ. I want this Jesus. I didn't know how, because there was no Christian around me. That was so new for me. So that night in the punk club, I first time prayed. I was so desperate when my friends started to drink and smoke some things. This was the first moment when I asked God, God, help me now. In that moment, I was free. Now it's 32 years how I don't abuse any substance. I was free in that moment. And I started to study. I started university, finished first degree. That was I have master's degree in water management. After that, I finished theology. And I found I was not stupid. I was just broken. I I was just lost. When Christ came to my heart, everything was changed. And why am I sharing this? Because this is one of story, beauty from the ashes. Because later I became pastor of the church, and here on the picture you see church where I am pastor. And I can share with you stories of how we're now starting church all around Serbia, Bosnia, what's happening there, how God used people who was like me. And we started a rehab center for people who was lost. And this picture of men who living with us in our church, 20 of them, heroin addicts, criminals who was accepted by church. And we opened door for them, not to help them about addiction, but to teach them about Jesus Christ, to lead them in discipleship, to help them to overcome that life that they are living and give them new hope, new chance. And from them, we see beauty. This is Nenad. You can see his picture before rehab. He was broken, 15 years in heroin addiction. From the other side, you can see him with his wife and daughter. And he's now leader of rehab center, leading 25 boys, men in rehab, helping them to find freedom. He was completely lost 5 years ago. Now he's something completely different. Why? Because Christ changed the direction of his life. And in Serbia, it's not easy to reach people. You can go on the street, but to reach one person is big fight. And when God brings us this group of people, they know they are sinners. They know they need salvation, and they're ready to be changed and to serve Christ. This is Draško. He will be baptized when I come back, first time in his life. He was football hooligan, criminal, drug dealer. A few months ago, he first saw his mother after a few months. And his mother saw him, tell him, my son, this is the first time that I can spoke with you after 20 years, because he was so broken by addiction, he was not able to say in one sentence with a meaning. This is Darko. Darko tried to be good in something, in the sport, in the school, and nothing worked. So finally he found one thing where he will be good. That was drug addiction. And he was destroyed his life to the end. Came when he started to try food in the garbage can. So he came to our rehab. Now he leading one house of our rehab center. This is one of our famous actor. He was, his name is Srđan. He was very famous, but he started to use heroin. Finally, he finished on the street. Started to use drugs. All his career disappeared. He came to a rehab, received Christ, became believer. And on this picture, you see him, how he gave his testimony on one of national TV. 500,000 Serbians listened this story that morning. How Christ changed his life, restored him, bring him wife. He has kids now, and he is again actor in the Serbia, again famous. God doing incredible things. This story about Srđan, one other. He's now a church planter in Croatia. He came in the rehab to die. He was sick. He was 20 years on methadone. All his body was destroyed. He came just to find decent place to die. And God touched his heart. He found Christ, fell in love with Christ, and now he is one of church planters. And I can share with you story by story similar. And why I'm sharing this story? Because it's important for me. God on all the Balkan, where blood flooding, find solution to reach people who was untouchable, who was rejected by our society, and from them to make new missionaries. And that is place where TAN came to help us, to reach this group of people who were so lost in that moment. It is one of new stories that's happening now. Ministry for homeless people in our city. One of men who was in our rehab, Branko, he was 70 years in heroin addiction, criminal, many years in the prison. But when he found Christ in the rehab, after that, he decided that he will do something for others. And God gave him heart for the homeless people, not to feed them, but to be friend for them. Because in our society, when somebody is homeless, he's rejected with others. But he said, we will be friends for them. And he called his ministry Hand for the Friend. You know, we'll give hand to the homeless. They will not be untouchable, but they will be our friends. So we cook food together with them and eat with them and spend time with them and showing them love, preach gospel to them. So everything happened because we saw people who was on the ashes. We saw beauty in them. God showed us and give us love how to help them. And one by one, all these people becoming servants of God, people who serve God on this difficult place, Balkan. So you can pray for that. You can pray for us to be more effective, to reach more. And through them now, we can influence other aspects of our society. People start to listen to us. Family was reached through this ministry. In many cities where there was no churches, now is some Christian there who was drug addicts, who was in rehab, and go back to their homes. So God using this story, this way to reach Balkan area. I know many pastors all around Balkan who was addicts, but now God used this life to restore our nation, to develop bridges between nations, and to reach people. So thank you that you listened to this, my broken English, and I apologize. Like I mentioned, I have dyslexia and many other disabilities, so for me it's difficult to learn language, but I give my best, I hope, to encourage you with this story of brokenness and story how God can change people and through them to reach others. And I'm waiting to see what will be in the next 10 years, how many new churches, new ministry will be born, because church was ready to see untouchables. And that is power of Christ in our life. So if you want to speak more with me, you can find me later in Global Village. I will gladly give you some about Balkan, Serbia, work with drug addiction. So thank you very much.